Before he parted the sea, before he stood before kings, before he led a nation, he was a child marked for death. This is the story of Moses. In a time of fear and oppression, the people of Israel lived as slaves in Egypt. Their cries rose day and night under the heavy hand of Pharaoh, who feared their growing numbers. And so he made a cruel decree: every Hebrew baby boy must be killed. But one mother refused to let her son die. She hid him for as long as she could. 3 months of silence, 3 months of fear, 3 months of holding her breath every time footsteps passed by. But the day came when she could hide him no longer. With trembling hands and a breaking heart, she placed her baby in a basket, sealing it carefully, and set it among the reeds along the Nile River. She stepped back, watching, praying, "God, protect my child." The river flowed gently, carrying the basket just far enough into destiny. Not long after, Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to bathe. Surrounded by her servants, she noticed something unusual among the reeds: a basket. She drew closer, she opened it, and there he was, a crying baby. Something in her heart shifted. "This is one of the Hebrew children," she said. But instead of anger, she felt compassion. At that very moment, the baby's sister, who had been watching from a distance, stepped forward. "Shall I go and find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child for you?" she asked. Pharaoh's daughter agreed. And just like that, the child's own mother was called to care for him again. What was meant for destruction, God turned into restoration. The child grew, and Pharaoh's daughter adopted him as her own. She named him Moses, meaning drawn out of water. He was raised in a palace, educated in the wisdom of Egypt, dressed in royalty, but deep. Inside, he was not Egyptian. He was Hebrew. Years passed, and one day, Moses saw something that changed everything. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave. Anger rose within him. He looked left, he looked right, and when he thought no one was watching, he struck the Egyptian down and killed him. But the next day, when he tried to break up a fight between two Hebrews, one of them said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian?" Fear gripped Moses. His secret was out. Pharaoh heard what had happened and ordered Moses to be killed. So Moses fled, from a palace to a desert, from power to isolation, from royalty to a shepherd. He ran to the land of Midian, where he found refuge. There, he met a priest named Jethro and married his daughter. And for 40 years, Moses lived a quiet life, tending sheep, walking deserts, far from Egypt, far from purpose, or so it seemed. But heaven had not forgotten him. One day, as Moses led his flock near Mount Horeb, something unusual caught his eye: a bush on fire. But it was not burning up. He moved closer, and then a voice: "Moses, Moses!" He froze. "Here I am," he said. "Do not come any closer," the voice said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Moses trembled. "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses hid his face, afraid to look at God. "I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt," God said. "I have heard their cries, and I have come down to deliver them." Then came the words that would change history: "I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt." Moses was stunned. "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh?" God replied. "I will be with you." But Moses hesitated. "What if they don't believe me?" God gave him signs: a staff that turned into a serpent, a hand that became leprous, then healed again. Still, Moses resisted. "Lord, I am not eloquent, I am slow of speech." But God answered, "Who made your mouth? Now go, I will help you speak." And so Moses went back to Egypt, back to the place he ran from, back to his calling. He stood before Pharaoh, no longer a prince, but a messenger of God. "Let my people go." Pharaoh laughed. "Who is this God that I should obey him?" And with that, the battle began. Plagues struck Egypt one after another. Water turned to blood. Frogs covered the land. Gnats, flies, disease, darkness. Each time, Moses spoke. Each time, Pharaoh refused until the final plague. A night of judgment, every firstborn in Egypt would die. But the Israelites were given instructions. Take a lamb, kill it, put its blood on the doorposts, and when the angel of death passed through, it would pass over their homes. That night, cries filled Egypt. But in the homes marked by blood, there was peace. Pharaoh finally broke. "Go," he said, "leave my people." And so, after 400 years of slavery, Israel walked out free. But the story was not over. Pharaoh changed his mind. He sent his army. Chariots thundered across the Alard, closing in. The Israelites stood, trapped. Mountains on one side, the sea in front, and Pharaoh behind. Fear spread like fire. "Why did you bring us here to die?" they cried to Moses. But Moses stood firm. "Do not be afraid. Stand still, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord." Then God spoke, "Lift your staff." Moses raised his staff over the sea, and suddenly the waters began to move. A path opened, right through the sea. Walls of water on both sides. The impossible became reality. The people walked through on dry ground. Every step, a miracle. Every breath, a testimony. And when the Egyptians followed, God closed the sea, the waters crashed down, and the army of Pharaoh was gone. On the other side, freedom, not just from slavery, but into destiny. Moses stood, no longer a fugitive, no longer a shepherd, but a deliverer, chosen by God. And the people sang, "The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation." What began in fear ended in victory. What was meant for death became a story of deliverance. And the same God who made a way through the sea can still make a way for you. They forgot him, left him in a dark prison for something he didn't even do. No justice, no voice, no hope. But what they didn't know was that God was not finished with him yet. This is the story of Joseph, the man who went from prison to palace. Joseph had already suffered more than most people ever would. Betrayed by his own brothers, sold as a slave, falsely accused, and now locked behind bars. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into years. And still no change. But even in prison, something was different about Joseph. God was with him. He found favor with the prison guard, and soon he was put in charge of other prisoners. Not because life was fair, but because God's hand was still on him. One day, 2 prisoners were brought in, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Both had dreams, strange dreams that troubled them deeply. Joseph looked at them and said, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer spoke first. In his dream, he saw a vine with 3 branches. It blossomed, produced grapes, and he pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph listened carefully and then said, "In 3 days, Pharaoh will restore you to your position." Hope filled the room. Then the baker shared his dream. 3 baskets of bread were on his head, but birds came and ate the bread. Joseph's face changed. "In 3 days, Pharaoh will execute you." And just like that, it happened exactly as Joseph said. The cupbearer was restored. The baker was executed. Before the cupbearer left, Joseph made one simple request. "Please, remember me when you are restored. Mention me to Pharaoh. Help me get out of this place." The cupbearer nodded. But when he left, he forgot Joseph. 2 more years passed. 2 more years of silence. 2 more years of waiting. Have you ever felt forgotten? Like your prayers hit the ceiling and fall back down? But then, suddenly, everything changed. Pharaoh had a dream. A troubling dream. 7 healthy cows were eaten by 7 thin, ugly cows. 7 full heads of grain were swallowed by 7 thin ones. No one could explain it. Not the magicians, not the wise men. Then suddenly, the cupbearer remembered. "I know a man," he said. "A man in prison who can interpret dreams." In that moment, Joseph was called. They rushed him out of the prison, cleaned him up, changed his clothes, from a prisoner to standing before Pharaoh in a single day. Pharaoh looked at him and said, "I hear you can interpret dreams." Joseph replied, "I cannot, but God will give Pharaoh the answer." And then Joseph revealed the meaning. 7 years of abundance are coming, followed by 7 years of severe famine. But, Joseph said, Pharaoh should appoint a wise man to store food during the good years to prepare for the famine. Pharaoh was amazed. Can we find anyone like this man? One in whom is the Spirit of God? And just like that, Joseph, the forgotten prisoner, was chosen. "You shall be in charge of my palace," Pharaoh declared. "Only I will be greater than you." He placed his ring on Joseph's finger, dressed him in fine linen, put a gold chain around his neck. From prison to power, from forgotten to favored, from pain to purpose. In one moment, God changed everything. Joseph was now second in command over all of Egypt. The years of abundance came, just as he said. And Joseph stored food, preparing for what was coming. Then the famine hit, and people from all nations came to Egypt, searching for food, including Joseph's brothers. The same brothers who betrayed him, the same brothers who sold him, now standing before him, not even recognizing who he had become. What they meant for evil, God had turned for good. Joseph's story was never about the prison. It was about preparation. Every delay, every pain, every moment of waiting was leading him to the palace. So if you feel stuck, forgotten, or delayed, remember this: God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. Your prison might just be the place where your purpose is being built. And just like Joseph, one day, everything can change. Joseph was now second in command over all of Egypt. The years of abundance came, just as he said. And Joseph stored food, preparing for what was coming. Then the famine hit, and people from all nations came to Egypt, searching for food. including Joseph's brothers, the same brothers who betrayed him, the same brothers who sold him, now standing before him, not even recognizing who he had become. What they meant for evil, God had turned for good. Joseph's story was never about the prison. It was about preparation. Every delay, every pain, every moment of waiting was leading him to the palace. So if you feel stuck, forgotten, or delayed, remember this: God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. Your prison might just be the place where your purpose is being built. And just like Joseph, one day everything can change.
Before Jacob became Israel, before he became the father of a great nation, he was a man running from his past. A man filled with fear. A man who made mistakes. A man who wrestled with guilt, with family conflict, and eventually, with God himself. But through every betrayal, every lonely night, and every painful lesson, God never abandoned him. Tonight, listen closely to the incredible story of Jacob, the man whose life proves that God can transform anyone. Long ago, in the land of Canaan, Isaac and Rebekah prayed desperately for children. For many years they waited. And finally, God answered. Rebekah became pregnant with twins. But even before the children were born, there was conflict inside her womb. The babies struggled against each other constantly. Troubled and afraid, Rebekah prayed to God. And the Lord spoke to her. 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples will be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. When the time came for birth, the first child came out red and hairy. They named him Esau. Then came the second child. His tiny hand was gripping Esau's heel. They named him Jacob. And from the very beginning, their lives would be connected through struggle. Esau grew strong and became a skilled hunter. He loved the open fields. He was rough, fearless, and impulsive. Isaac loved Esau deeply because he enjoyed the wild meat Esau brought home. But Jacob was quiet, thoughtful. He preferred staying among the tents. And Rebekah loved Jacob more. This favoritism slowly planted division inside the family. One day, Esau returned home exhausted from hunting. Jacob was cooking stew. The rich smell filled the air. Esau was starving. He begged Jacob for some food. But Jacob saw an opportunity. "Sell me your birthright first," Jacob said. The birthright was precious. It belonged to the firstborn son. It carried honor, inheritance, and blessing. But Esau was reckless. "What good is my birthright if I die of hunger?" he replied. So Esau swore an oath and traded his birthright for a bowl of stew. In that moment, Esau treated something sacred as worthless. And Jacob took hold of it. Years passed. Isaac grew old. His eyes became weak, and he could barely see. One day he called for Esau. "My son," Isaac said weakly, "I am old now. Go hunt for me and prepare the meal I love. Then I will bless you before I die." Esau quickly left to hunt. But Rebekah overheard everything. She immediately called Jacob. "Your father is about to bless Esau," she whispered urgently. "Listen carefully to me." Rebekah created a dangerous plan. She prepared food exactly the way Isaac liked it. Then she covered Jacob's arms and neck with goat skins because Esau was hairy. Jacob hesitated. What if father realizes I'm deceiving him? But Rebekah insisted. So Jacob entered Isaac's tent. The old man listened carefully. "The voice is Jacob's voice," Isaac said slowly. But when he touched Jacob's hairy arms, confusion filled his mind. Jacob lied. "I am Esau, your firstborn." Isaac finally accepted it. He ate the meal. Then he placed his trembling hands upon Jacob and gave him the blessing. A blessing of prosperity, authority, and favor. Moments later, Esau returned. He prepared the meal and entered Isaac's tent. And suddenly the terrible truth was revealed. Isaac trembled violently. Esau cried out in agony, "Bless me too, Father." But the blessing had already been given. Esau wept bitterly. Then hatred filled his heart. "The days of mourning for my father are near," Esau said. "Then I will kill Jacob." When Rebekah heard this, fear overtook her. She warned Jacob to flee immediately. So Jacob left home alone. No servants. No family. Only fear. The sun began to set as Jacob traveled through the wilderness. Exhausted, he stopped for the night. He took a stone for a pillow and fell asleep beneath the open sky. And there, in the darkness, God spoke to him through a dream. Jacob saw a ladder reaching from earth to heaven. Angels moved up and down upon it. And above the ladder stood the Lord. "I am the God of Abraham and Isaac," the Lord declared. "The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. I am with you. I will never leave you." Jacob awoke trembling. Surely the Lord was in that place. And he had not known it. Filled with awe, Jacob took the stone he had used as a pillow and set it up as a pillar. He called the place Bethel, meaning house of God. Then Jacob continued his journey. Eventually he arrived in the land of his mother's relatives. Near a well, he saw shepherds waiting with their flocks. And then he saw her. Rachel. Beautiful. Graceful. The moment Jacob laid eyes on Rachel, his heart changed. He rolled away the stone covering the well and watered her sheep. Then he kissed her and wept aloud. Jacob stayed with Rachel's father, Laban. After a month, Laban asked Jacob what wages he wanted for his work. Jacob loved Rachel deeply. "I will work 7 years for your daughter Rachel," he said. And so he worked. 7 long years. But to Jacob, they felt like only a few days because of his love for her. Finally the wedding day arrived. There was celebration. Feasting. Music. But that night, Laban committed a cruel deception. Under the darkness of night, he sent Leah, Rachel's older sister, into Jacob's tent instead. When morning came, Jacob was shocked. "Why have you deceived me?" he cried. Laban calmly explained that in their culture, the older daughter must marry first. Then Laban made another offer. "Work another 7 years, and you may also marry Rachel." Jacob agreed. And once again, he labored many years. The deceiver had now been deceived. Jacob eventually built a large family. Leah bore sons. Rachel remained barren for many years. Pain and rivalry filled the household. Leah longed for Jacob's love. Rachel longed for children. Servants were given as wives. Jealousy spread throughout the family. Yet through all the chaos, God continued building the nation he had promised. Years later, God blessed Rachel with a son. They named him Joseph. Meanwhile, Jacob's wealth increased greatly. His flocks multiplied. But tension grew between Jacob and Laban. Laban's sons became jealous. Then God spoke again. "Return to the land of your fathers." Jacob obeyed. Quietly, he gathered his wives, children, servants, and animals. And they fled. When Laban discovered this, he became furious and pursued Jacob. But before Laban could harm him, God warned Laban in a dream. Do not say anything good or bad to Jacob. So when they finally met, the confrontation ended peacefully. A covenant was made. A boundary stone was raised. And Jacob continued toward home. But another fear waited ahead. Esau. The brother Jacob had betrayed decades earlier. Messengers returned with terrifying news. Esau is coming to meet you with 400 men. Jacob panicked. Memories of guilt returned. He divided his family and possessions into groups, hoping some might survive if Esau attacked. Then Jacob prayed desperately. "O God of my father Abraham, save me from my brother." That night Jacob sent gifts ahead to Esau. Hundreds of animals. Goats. Camels. Cattle. Everything possible to soften Esau's anger. Then Jacob remained alone beside the river. The night grew dark and silent. And suddenly, a man appeared. The stranger wrestled with Jacob all night long. Jacob struggled with every ounce of strength. Neither would let go. As dawn approached, the stranger touched Jacob's hip. Instantly, Jacob's hip was injured. Yet Jacob still refused to release him. "I will not let you go unless you bless me," Jacob declared. Then the stranger asked a question. "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. His name meant deceiver. Heel grabber. The one who struggled. But the stranger spoke new words over him. "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed." Jacob realized he had encountered God. He named the place Peniel. For he said, "I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been spared." As the sun rose, Jacob limped away forever changed. The next day, Esau approached. Jacob bowed to the ground 7 times. Fear filled his heart. But something unexpected happened. Esau ran toward Jacob. He embraced him. And both brothers wept. Years of hatred melted away. Forgiveness replaced revenge. The brothers were reunited. Jacob finally returned safely to the land God had promised. But peace did not last forever. Jacob's family continued facing trials. Among all his sons, Jacob loved Joseph the most. Joseph was Rachel's son. The child born after years of waiting. Jacob gave Joseph a beautiful robe. A sign of favor. But this favoritism created bitterness among Joseph's brothers. When Joseph shared dreams showing his family bowing before him, their jealousy grew even stronger. One day, while tending sheep far from home, the brothers saw Joseph approaching. Anger consumed them. They threw him into a pit. Then they sold him to traders traveling toward Egypt. To hide their crime, they covered Joseph's robe with animal blood and brought it to Jacob. Jacob recognized the robe immediately. Grief shattered him. He believed Joseph had been killed by a wild animal. Day after day, Jacob mourned. Nothing could comfort him. Years passed. Far away in Egypt, Joseph rose from slavery to power through God's favor. Then famine struck the land. Food became scarce everywhere, including Canaan. Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy grain. There, without recognizing him, they stood before Joseph. The very brother they had betrayed. Joseph tested them carefully. He wanted to know whether their hearts had changed. Eventually Joseph could no longer contain his emotions. He wept loudly. "I am Joseph," he declared. His brothers were terrified. But Joseph spoke words of mercy. "Do not be afraid. What you intended for evil, God used for good." Then Joseph invited Jacob and the entire family to live safely in Egypt. When Jacob heard the news that Joseph was alive, he could hardly believe it. His spirit revived. And soon Jacob journeyed to Egypt. At last, father and son embraced again after many painful years apart. Jacob spent the rest of his days in Egypt surrounded by his children and grandchildren. Before his death, he blessed Joseph's sons. He also blessed each of his own sons, speaking prophetic words over their futures. Then Jacob gathered his feet into his bed. And after a long life filled with struggle, sorrow, transformation, and grace, he breathed his last. But Jacob's story did not end there. From his descendants came the 12 tribes of Israel. And generations later, through that same family line, the Savior of the world would come. Jacob began as a deceiver, a fearful man running from his mistakes. But God changed him. God walked with him through betrayal, loneliness, heartbreak, and fear. And in the end, Jacob became Israel, a man transformed by the presence of God. So whenever you feel unworthy, remember Jacob. Whenever your past haunts you, remember Jacob. Whenever you feel like your mistakes define you, remember Jacob. Because the God who changed Jacob still changes lives today. And just like Jacob, your story is not over.
A man built a giant boat in the middle of dry land, and people laughed at him every single day. But what happened next wiped out the entire world. For years, Noah endured ridicule from everyone around him. Children pointed and laughed, neighbors shook their heads, travelers stopped just to stare at the massive wooden structure rising from the earth where there was no sea, no river, and no sign of rain. To them, Noah looked foolish. But Noah was not building because of what he could see, he was building because of what God had said. At that time, the world had become filled with evil. Violence spread across the land. People cared only about themselves. They ignored God and followed their own desires. Corruption had reached every corner of society, and the hearts of people had grown cold. God looked upon the earth and saw the wickedness of mankind. He saw the violence, the injustice, and the rebellion. Yet among all the people on earth, one man remained faithful. His name was Noah. Noah walked with God when others turned away. He listened when others ignored. He obeyed when others mocked. One day, God spoke to Noah. "Noah, the earth has become corrupt. I will send a great flood upon the world. Everything on the earth will be destroyed. Build an ark and bring your family into it. I will save you." Noah was stunned. A flood? Rain strong enough to cover the entire earth? Such a thing had never happened before. Yet Noah trusted God. Without delay, he began gathering wood. Day after day, week after week, year after year, Noah worked on the ark. The structure grew larger and larger until it towered above the surrounding land. The people could not understand. "What are you building? Why would anyone need a boat this big? Have you lost your mind, Noah?" Each time, Noah gave the same answer. "God has warned us. A flood is coming." The people laughed. "There is no flood. There is no danger. There is no judgment." But Noah continued building. As the years passed, the ark became impossible to ignore. Its enormous size stood as a silent warning to everyone who saw it. Yet still, no one listened. Noah's family remained by his side. Together they worked, trusting the promise of God even when nothing around them seemed to support it. Then one day, something extraordinary happened. Animals began appearing from every direction. Birds filled the sky. Deer emerged from the forests. Lions walked calmly across the plains. Elephants, sheep, cattle, horses, and creatures of every kind moved toward the ark, not in chaos, not in fear, but in perfect order. Two by two they came. The people watched in confusion. Some felt fear for the first time. Others tried to explain it away. But deep inside, many began to wonder whether Noah had been telling the truth all along. As the animals entered the ark, Noah gathered his family. "The time has come," he said. Together they entered the ark. The last animal stepped inside. Then something remarkable happened. The great door of the ark began to close. No human hand touched it. God Himself shut the door. Silence settled across the land. The sky darkened. Clouds gathered overhead. The wind began to rise. People looked upward nervously. Then a single drop of rain fell. Another followed. Then another. Soon the rain intensified. Within moments, water poured from the heavens with unimaginable force. Thunder shook the earth. Lightning flashed across the sky. Rivers overflowed. Streams burst their banks. Water surged across the land. The people who had mocked Noah began to panic. They ran toward the ark. They pounded on its walls. "Noah, open the door. Please let us in. We believe you now." But the door remained shut. The time for warning had passed. The time for judgment had come. The rain continued day and night. Water covered fields, villages, and cities. Hills disappeared beneath the flood. Mountains vanished under rising waters. Everything outside the ark was swept away. Inside, Noah and his family listened to the storm raging around them. The ark creaked and rocked upon the waves, yet it held firm. God had designed it to survive. Days passed. Weeks passed. The floodwaters covered the earth. Nothing remained visible except water stretching to every horizon. Still Noah trusted. Still Noah prayed. Still Noah believed. Eventually the rain stopped. The violent winds faded. The waters slowly began to recede. Hope returned. One day Noah released a raven. It flew away across the endless waters. Later he released a dove. The dove returned because it could find nowhere to rest. 7 days later, Noah sent the dove again. This time it returned, carrying a fresh olive leaf in its beak. The family rejoiced. Life was returning to the earth. God had not forgotten them. They waited patiently as the waters continued to fall. At last, the ark came to rest upon a mountain. Noah removed part of the covering and looked out. Dry ground was beginning to appear. After many months inside the ark, God finally spoke again. "Come out of the ark, Noah, you, your family, and every living creature." The door opened. Fresh air filled their lungs. Sunlight warmed their faces. One by one, the animals emerged and spread across the earth. Noah stepped onto the ground and immediately fell to his knees. His first act was worship. He thanked God for protection. He thanked God for mercy. He thanked God for keeping every promise. Then God made a covenant with Noah and all future generations. "Never again will I destroy the earth with a flood." As a sign of this promise, God placed a rainbow in the sky. Brilliant colors stretched across the heavens. A symbol of mercy, a symbol of hope, a reminder that God keeps His promises. The story of Noah teaches us that faith is not believing after everyone else believes. Faith is trusting God before anyone else does. Noah obeyed when the world laughed. He trusted when others doubted, and because he remained faithful, he survived the storm that changed the world forever. The next time you see a rainbow, remember Noah. Remember the ark. Remember the flood. And remember that faith in God can carry you safely through even the greatest storms